country is, it's scary to me. I mean, it's absolutely scary. I mean, like people are getting guns pulled on them because they're wearing Trump hats. Now, trust me, I'm not a supporter. However, I'm not going to go pull a gun on somebody because they are. I just don't get this.
You don't hear me saying I wouldn't do that.
No, okay, I know, but that's, Ken, the gun-toting, ex-Jewish Buddhist.
Ex-Jewish? No, I'm still Jewish.
Are you still Jewish?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
As long as your mother's Jewish, you don't ever tell anybody you're not Jewish.
Okay, now it's time to stop.
All right.
Thank you. Are we done?
I don't know.
I think so.
YouTube froze.
Yes,
now
it's okay.
Facebook froze, sound but no video.
Okay, well, mine's working. I think it's because you're over there pushing all the buttons.
So,
May I?
Says it's live. Says it's doing its thing.
Okay, now froze, sound, no video. Let's just end it and restart it on your end. How's that? And we're going to ignore that one, okay?
Look at you. Got to go to the default microphone. Should be Rainier.
Which one?
That's what I got, Rainier, right there.
Okay, well, honey, I don't have my glasses on. Okay, there you go.
Pinche.
Muy malo.
Oh, God.
Muy
My
loco,
life, welcome to us all.
Y pendejo. Sí.
Wow.
Ooh.
Teeming crickets. I'm going to tell you what she just said.
I know.
So
I taught school in Oak Cliff. I know all the cuss words in Spanish.
It's 6:23, and I'm going to get into the meat of thing that we said we would talk about maybe.
Oh, okay.
So, because I did the news. That's all the news that's fit to print. Okay?
But I'm still like really upset about this woman and her boyfriend. You really didn't share much about that.
Well, I just thought it was a crappy defense.
Why are you back there? Seriously, why are you back there?
Because look, it's not.
So leave it alone. You're right here. All's good. He's crazy, y'all. You have no idea. Go meditate. Go to your meditation corner. I'm sending you to your meditation corner.
I'm burning up.
For a person who meditates every day, I'm serious. Thank God you meditate. I'm serious. You'd be in jail if you didn't. I don't even know what to say. I wish I had a stripper button.
You can't wear white when you do a TV show. Because there's lights that they have in the studios.
Okay.
It will reflect it, and they hate for you to show up in a white shirt.
Okay.
This is YouTube or something.
Okay.
Or it's not YouTube. So,
poor Ken.
If you checked in on
having issues.
Law and Disorder, we wouldn't know because she wiped the whole thing out. So unless you come back,
it's my fault. It's my fault. But look at everybody.
Yeah, everybody's on her page. So the topic tonight is depression.
Yeah.
But I'm not in the mood anymore to talk about it. But I'm going to talk about it anyways because we decided earlier it could be an important topic to talk about.
Well, it sprung off the article about the guy killing himself. And also, I was shocked today to learn that, Ken used to own gun ranges. And I had no idea, I mean, I'm ignorant, I guess, that people go and they rent guns and then they kill themselves at the gun ranges. I mean, did y'all know this? I didn't know this. This is like really, it's just like serious. I mean, like, I had no idea. And he says that this happened at his gun range and that it's very common around the country that this happened. Can you share about that, kid?
Yeah, people would come in and kill themselves. So it happens at all the gun ranges.
I had no idea. That is horrific.
I know that locally, every gun range I'm aware of, where I used to know everybody because I owned one. So I knew the other owners. So I would know the news, had people come in and commit suicide. And did
y'all know that? I didn't know this.
If you've ever walked into a gun range, and it wouldn't have been my gun range, and they said, you can't rent a gun unless there's two of you. and they didn't explain
I don't
why.
know. Back in my day,
That was
it
supposed to be-
work. People would just kill each other.
Well, but the thing was, they didn't want you to rent a gun, go out by yourself and kill yourself.
Well, they wanted somebody to watch you kill yourself?
No, they figured if you went out together, you wouldn't.
I don't know. Back when I was in high school, they were doing those suicide pact things. It was awful.
Well, those are young kids, right? They weren't
Well,
got
that's
to be a
true.
certain age to rent a gun.
That's true.
So,
But still, that's awful. That is horrifying. I'll never work at a gun range. So somebody killed themselves at your gun range and you were horrified. Go back to Ken Goldberg.
nobody's there.
Okay, would you like to go to your website and do Facebook from your page instead of Ken Goldberg's?
Huh? I don't even know how to do that. So back to the show. CIS, is anybody out there?
That's because you're not on your page. You're on Law and Disorder. If you go
Well,
to
yeah,
your
but
page,
shouldn't they be out there? Yeah. So here's the thing. I suffer from something that I will call situational depression.
situational. Explain what that is.
No, I will. But I want to say that you suffer
Yes.
from chronic depression.
Yes.
So here you got two people that suffer from some form of depression. So we thought it might be good to talk about it from an anecdotal, experiential point of view,
Mhm.
rather than like having a doctor come up here, psychiatrist come up here and
Oh my God.
talk about.
I love going to a doctor or a therapist who has absolutely no experience in alcoholism, drug addiction, depression, and they have no empathy whatsoever.
Well, I think
I
they
just
have
don't get it.
empathy. They just don't always
I think
have
it's
it.
important to no empathy. I think it's when you've experienced it. Sympathy is when you haven't.
That's what I know.
Isn't that right?
I think you can have empathy without experiencing it, can't you? But you may be right. That may be the
Oh, that's how
distinguishing
I was looking.
feature. So what happened is, I told AJ that I felt like I had done a swan dive off a tall cliff into the water below,
Oh, there was water.
but that I missed.
Oh, there we go.
And instead,
Yeah.
I hit the rocks.
Okay.
And I said
I understand.
this morning that I felt like pretty much every psychological, emotional bone in my body was damaged.
Yes.
And that is not always the way I felt. I don't usually feel that way. But what I found in the past weeks, months, I've been deteriorating.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said that I'm beginning to regret my past, which is not something I do. I don't regret my past, but I'm learning to.
No.
So
The promises tell us we will not regret the past.
nor wish to shut the door on it.
There you go.
And I'd be slamming. So what started the conversation is I shared this with AJ and I said, for instance, I've made a lot of mistakes in life and I try to look at mistakes as learning moments.
Mm-hmm.
And I usually move on. But I've done a couple of things that have been hard to move on from. Losing a lot of money, going from being affluent to not so affluent.
I've been there.
Yeah, but you do fine. You're so cool about it.
it. I
Yeah.
don't do fine.
Oh,
I'm making so much money, and then I gave it all up. And I was a teacher. Now I was very rewarding in here, but I had no bugs.
so we're an example of just like losers. So that's how
We're an example of something here, Ken. We're not real sure what.
and so and I identified, for instance, I was in the longest relationship of my life. It was 17 years, involved meeting and adopting my daughters, whom I love dearly. But here's the thing. Let's see if anybody can relate. You may not be able to communicate because I have no idea what's going on here, but everybody blames me. So if anybody's miserable who's been with me in my life, I'm the source of their misery. Now,
No,
I'm
that's
not
what.
saying that's true.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm just saying that's the feedback I get, and I find it traumatizing to me because it's like, you shrug it off. You do. You shrug it, you're like,
You're not
yeah.
shrugging it off. Don't sit here and lie
Well,
about
you
it.
do it, but it accumulates.
Yes.
So, you shrugged it off, but, left a little layer, and then eventually, your children keep telling you, life sucks because you raised me such a jerk. Obviously, the ex-wife left because I suck at being a husband. The last girlfriend.
Boy, you have a lot of power over people. He hates when I do.
We're in public, so I'm gonna let this slide. The last dog who did that, he died. So,
seriously, dude.
Well, we can talk about remedies later.
Yes.
First, let's talk about how we get here.
Yes,
That's how
I
I'm
understand.
doing.
Yes.
So I'm not saying, listen, the way out of depression, I like what one monk said to me years ago, and he was an American monk, Buddhist American. He said that depression is obsession with self. And if you want to beat depression, get out of yourself, do something for others.
Wasn't that what the 12-step program says too?
Yeah.
Yes. What? 12 steps.
Yeah.
12. Step number 12 is helping others. Service work.
Yeah, and so I've worked 12 steps, and I've been in therapy at various times in my life. What I'm telling you is that right now at this moment,
yes,
nothing's working.
Yes.
Okay, and so I wake up with regret, and I wake up with pain, psychic pain, and so I told AJ, and AJ is telling me she's been in therapy for how many years?
Since I got sober, and I got sober at 24, and I had, for the most of my life, I took a few years off here, a few years off here, a few years off there, but overall, I'm in therapy for a long friggin' time.
Okay, and one thing we agreed on was the importance of this concept of mindfulness and how it comes into play in thwarting depression. So for me, I sit and I meditate, and this has been important because my coping mechanism off and on throughout my life has been drugs and alcohol, because it's quick, it's furious, it's just so, it just works so well in the moment. But I did the math 12 years ago, and I realized there was no way I could stay high 24/7, and so mathematically I was going to spend more time not high than I would spend high.
Didn't that suck when you realized that though?
So then I decided that the only way to make it through life was going to be to stop using drugs and alcohol.
I remember that day.
Okay.
And I had to face that fact. That sucked.
And now
I thought I was fucked. I did. I thought, okay, this is it. My life is over.
Yeah, well, I knew enough from the first time I'd been
I don't think I was sober one time.
that getting sober was going to be helpful at that point. But so I did, but I didn't learn meditation at that point.
Oh, no, neither did
about
I.
a year or so, and then I got introduced. This is the second time in sobriety.
Yeah, no.
I got introduced to meditation through Buddhism.
Right.
And through 12-step people, that we used to meditate at this meeting I used to go to in Tucson. So what happens when I'm being mindful? And you tell me if this is part of your experiences. I sit there, and whatever the thought is, I have good thoughts, I have bad thoughts. But when you're being mindful, and by mindful, I'm talking about when you sit and you meditate in this Buddhist tradition that's sometimes referred to as mindful meditation, but actually in Buddhism is called Vipassana meditation. You sit and you see emotions, you see thoughts as they're percolating in lifetime, and you begin over a period of time as you train yourself to recognize that these thoughts do not necessarily mean you are. I'm not my emotions. I'm not my thoughts. If I was my thoughts, a lot of you are dead, right? You know that. And a lot of you out there know that if thoughts were you, or, they were like actions. So I see the thought, and instead of getting hung into it, taking off with it, like this guy in Tucson used to say, when I felt bad when you're drinking and drugging, I thought I'd always feel bad. So it was hard to rebound from that, right?
Well, especially when you first get off alcohol and drugs, you feel like shit for the first, I felt like shit for 3 years.
Well, I don't remember anymore.
I mean, oh my God. That was rough.
Well,
So
just-
it's like, okay, should I keep using because I feel like shit when I'm not using? So do I keep using because I feel like shit anyway? But I think I might feel a little better if I'm using. I mean, it's like when you're first sober. At least that's how it was for me.
So mindfulness comes into play. Sit and meditate, and I've done a couple of coping things. They're not enough, and that we're going to talk about not enough before we finish. But in the moment, it's a saving grace because I don't get hooked into my emotions as much.
Right.
Obviously, I get hooked, or I wouldn't have told you I felt like such crap.
Well, no, I know, but that was good that you're sharing. But we do get hooked sometimes into our emotions, especially when they're compounded and compounded and compounded and compounded.
So I gotta. So you suffer from it for over a long period of time,
Mm-hmm.
and you've had to come up with coping mechanisms.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not typically sucked into it, but you know, when the marriage ended,
Mm-hmm.
there was that
We've been through a
situation.
lot lately. Honey.
Situation.
The
And
last
then my
year.
two best friends died,
Right.
Jerry and Gary.
Mm-hmm.
Then some other friends died, but those two are really impacted. And then, you know, like I say, every now and then my daughters share with me that I suck.
Mm-hmm.
And that really cuts to the core because, you know, my father.
Will you allow it?
My
to cut through the
father-
core? Yes.
Right.
Right. I'm not saying. I mean, you allow.
So my father raised me. I thought he did a really crappy job, so I wanted to do a better job. Thought I did a better job. You know, now the kind of feedback you get frequently is, yeah, you didn't do any better than your old man. So,
So this is bothering you.
so staying off of, I know this.
Mm-hmm.
There's no problem I have that a drink or drug will not make worse.
Exactly. And that's what you get. And that's for me. That's what I have to remember because it's so easy to forget that, especially after a long period of time.
I also remember that it's easier to stay sober and straight than it is to get sober.
Oh, I know.
You don't remember that?
I've never had a relapse.
Okay, well, I'm not so lucky. I had one. Lasted 10 years.
Well, I know. And a head full of 12-step program and a belly full of liquor doesn't mix.
So,
How'd you do on that? Was that rough when you were doing that?
You know, I'd still be out there. Possibly.
Was it ego that you didn't want to like get sober again and come back in and see what was part of it? For me, I could see that being a problem. Would be ego. I could
Well, I
see that.
had enough money to stay high the rest of my life.
Right.
And it was solving momentary problems of anger and stuff like that. But I was getting physically sicker. I was smoking meth and drinking alcohol.
Thank God, meth really wasn't the big thing to do.
It wasn't
back
a
when I
big
was
thing to
in the
do
day.
before I got clean the first time. So anyways, I saw the deterioration in many realms of my life.
Right.
But I went to an AA meeting one day. I don't even know if it was out of desperation. Somebody invited me, said, "Oh, I know you used to go. Why don't you come with me?" And
She must have been cute.
No, it was a he,
I'm kidding.
and he wasn't cute. He was nuts. But anyways, I went with them.
That's
and
why you went. You
it was-
related. He was
It
nuts.
was a meditation meeting.
Oh, interesting.
At least the first 10 minutes for meditation, I remember sitting there going, you know, I mean, I'm detoxing, man. I'm not in the mood. The
I was in
night
rehab
before-
when I
the
was
night before
detoxing,
it,
so thank God.
My wife's birthday, we had celebrated, we had kind of partied on Saturday night. Sunday night, I go to this AA meeting with this guy, and they say, "Oh, we're going to meditate for 10 minutes." And I'm like, "Yeah, the hell we will." They did. And so I sat there, you know, they light candles, they turn off the lights. I'm sitting there like toe tapping. You know, at some point,
I don't know if I could have done that when I was detoxing. I
well,
really
at
don't.
some point,
That's hard.
I had this flash. Okay, I remembered being in recovery in my earlier life,
Mhm.
and it was okay.
Mhm.
And in that 10 seconds that went on,
That window. There was
I
the window
realized,
opening.
you know,
Mhm.
getting straight ain't gonna be that painful once you get there. So he said, "Why don't you come to meet me tomorrow at 6:45 a.m."
Oh God.
And I did.
I went to a 7 a.m. meeting today. Just let everybody know. That was the first one I actually was there on time for, and I've been sober almost 31 years. So that was quite a miracle. Miracles do happen. AJ went to a 7 a.m. meeting. Although Happy pulled me out, I didn't go through the whole thing.
Well, I went to a 6:45 and decided that day
Mhm.
I was just going to keep going every day. That
Yeah.
I needed help. I needed every day. And it turns out it was my birthday.
Oh.
So that worked out okay. Now I don't forget. So every year my birthday is also my anniversary. So for getting clean, that was important.
Hey, aren't you supposed to get your chip this month?
No, that was December.
I know. So don't you think you better get it this month?
She knows why I'm not getting my chip. Ain't got nothing
He's
to do
being
with
selfish and
deserving. It's
self-centered.
got nothing to
He
do with
needs to
deserving
show
it.
other people that he is sober. He is not allowing other people to see him acquire this chip that other people desire. So he is not representing sobriety. He is being selfish.
I'm being
and self-centered.
anonymous.
He's being selfish
Yeah.
and self-centered. I'm going to call your sponsor. Who's your sponsor again?
I wish he'd watched the damn show.
He'd make you get your chip.
I was at the meeting.
He was. I'll ask around.
So
Is it Paul?
he doesn't go to
Oh.
meetings. I mean, he doesn't go to the Friday night. He doesn't go to that birthday
Does
meeting.
he go to 7 a.m.?
Yeah. He was
Oh,
there.
Paul?
Yeah.
Oh, I love him. Oh, I'm Paul. I'm calling you.
He's never gonna watch it.
I'm going to call him.
So we were talking about depression. You went off on a tangent.
Well, and you didn't before
I don't go
obsessing
on.
over freaking YouTube not working right now.
Stay
Yes.
focused.
Okay. So most people who meet me would never in a million years realize that I struggle with depression
Do you
because
need
I don't like
medication?
that. Sometimes, yes. Throughout my thing.
But not, it's not daily regimen?
Not anymore.
Okay.
But it was when I first sobered up. Oh my God. I mean, it was very necessary. I don't know how I could have gotten sober without it. I was so depressed. I couldn't. My first 30 days back then, they put you in rehab for 30 days. Did you go to rehab for 30 days?
My first time in 1982, I went through a 3-week treatment center.
Yeah, 28 days.
But 21.
Yeah, mine was 28.
But
Well,
when I
they
came
insurance
back,
covered it.
no.
Now they don't.
Yeah. So the second time,
Yeah.
no. I just
Yeah.
showed up at a meeting and decided. And by the way, I found before I went and did this, every time I quit using drugs and alcohol, I would stay clean for a period of time on my own. Here's something I discovered at about a 1 month period. I would get suicidal.
Mm.
And I didn't know what to relate it to because it was a month later, 3 weeks later. I finally kind of figured it out. And so I put on my seatbelt when I got to 12-step and decide, when this comes, I'm staying here.
Right.
know,
That's
but
the way
it's inevitable. And
But
by the
everybody
way,
goes through that.
the DEA, Drug Enforcement Administration, and those agencies were promoting the following concept, that methamphetamine disrupts serotonin in the brain.
Mhm.
And so if you had been a user of methamphetamine for a while, you would be depressed the rest of your life when you got off it because your serotonin would never be right again.
I don't think mine was ever right from a kid.
Well, but I'm thinking, what am I going to get clean for if I'm going to be depressed the rest of my life, right? Okay, you get what I'm saying?
Yes, but there's other
Who wants to
answers
sentence
to.
myself?
That's
well,
not.
I didn't
yeah.
know.
Yeah, and of course
I
not.
can
We
now
don't know.
I
Of
can now
course not.
attest that never happened. I never got.
Well,
sued.
even if they would
I
have
didn't.
told us that when we're getting sober, we're not going to friggin' believe them. I mean, come on.
And I never got suicidal like I wanted to kill myself. I'd get suicidal like I'd come to a light and it would be green, chained or something, and I'd go into and somebody would blow the red light and just miss me. And I would think, God, if they'd have just hit me, this would all be over. Started having thoughts like, anyway, I don't have that kind of stuff going on anymore.
That's good.
But I'm in a dark place.
Right.
Okay, so back to what you said, you've been using meditation. You have tools besides meditation.
Yeah. So for what happened was I had ups and downs forever. And then when my mom passed about, I don't even know, 15 years ago or so, then I just hit a bottom. It was awful. So I ended up that I started going back to therapy, and my wonderful therapist, Suzanne, she got me involved in meditation, yoga again, all that kind of thing. And has taught me different tools that I never would have learned in a 12-step program. These are different tools. And you were talking about it, like connecting with the feelings during meditation. I like looking at the feelings that you're having as energy. So it's an energy that you have created inside of you that is usually negative, and it's okay to go ahead and let go of that negative energy and change it. Change it. You don't have to have that negative energy inside of you. You don't have to have those negative thoughts. You don't have to think you're a piece of crap. You don't have to think all these ridiculous things that you learned when we were younger.
Well, another thing, we've talked about resentments, which
Absolutely.
feed into depression,
Mhm.
and taking responsibility for my hostility towards anybody else
Right.
is always about me.
Exactly.
And that's
100%.
a hard one.
But that's absolutely.
So part of my depression correlates with, I get mad. I'm like, I can't do anything about you.
Right.
I can't change you, but that doesn't stop me from being mad about you or mad at you.
Correct.
Right? So it begins to percolate. And if I don't do something about me,
right,
because I can't do anything about you. So in my first marriage, my counselor was, she was good. I wish I could still see her. But anyways, Linda said, I went and said, I got troubles with my wife. This is my first wife.
Mhm.
And she said, well, tell me what, I told her first session, right?
Right. Yeah. We just spew. We just pour. We puke our guts out. Yeah, there it is.
Second time I show up, she says, well, let's get you a problem. So right away, I'm like, this week, she said, oh, stop. We're not going to talk about her.
Right.
And I'm like, well, we were going to talk about my problem.
She's my problem.
Yeah. And she said, So here's what she said, and I took it to heart. She said, the problem is not her. She said, I don't care if you married Hitler. The problem is not her. The problem may be why did you marry Hitler?
Right.
But the problem is not her.
Right.
The problem is you. So I took that to heart, and I've grown a lot through the years with good therapists. I'm a little reluctant to pursue therapy. But anyways, because I found that a bad therapist can be worse than no therapist. Right. So we were talking, and one of the things about depression is it's most everybody's secret. That's up.
Yeah, well, a lot of people don't share. I think the reason you and I are more open is because we've been in a 12-step program, and people with 12-step programs tend to overshare. And I always know when I've overshared with a person not in a 12-step program because of the look on their face. It's like, why is she sharing this with me? Why is she, too authentic, too authentic.
So you were there this morning when I shared.
It was awesome.
But they had that look in a 12-step meeting.
No, I think they were just, first of all, it was you sharing. And so they were grateful that you had, and they were impressed too. I don't like to use that word, but they were glad and grateful, because it was like by you sharing, it opened up that box. And it's even weird because even in 12-step program meetings, things like that, often depression is even faux pas. Especially for men. And I feel like a lot of times that it's not discussed enough. Yeah. What is it? 1 out of every 3 women in 12-step program suffers from depression.
And I know a lot of people, before I had, right about, I wish I could remember the years. I had a year where I had a bad bout of depression that I'd never had. And I realized that when you say depression to somebody who hasn't had it,
they don't understand it.
They think you feel bad.
Right. No, it doesn't work that way.
So they think, stop, slaps,
Well, they can't understand it. If you've never experienced it, you can't. Like, my favorite is just get out of bed. Well, if I fucking could, I would. I can't. I can barely fucking brush my teeth. I can barely climb out of bed. I can barely get dressed. It's a physical and mental thing. It's not like, I'm just sad.
So about 15 years ago or so, I remember I had my first bout of real depression. Mm-hmm. Growing up, I did things that were crazy. The psychiatrist would tell you that some of the things I experienced when I was 10, 11 years old, trying to kill my old man and stuff, that's a depression.
You think?
That's a depression. But what I'm going to tell you now is that when I got back into drinking and drugging and nightclubbing, nightclub stuff,
titty bars.
Oh God! So I had a period of time, broke up with somebody, which is always a trigger, and I went on my annual hike with my 2 oldest friends in the world. We used to do it every year, and couldn't. Inside, the voice could not get to the mouth. Couldn't say to them,
Right.
I can't stand myself.
Right.
Can't stand the way,
No,
you know,
yeah.
I was barely able to speak hello to them. And that's not me.
Right.
I'm kind of the leader of the band
Mhm.
because I'm usually the one that calls the tribe to order. So God. So let me tell you, this is embarrassing.
Let me get Buddha.
So I'm an overeater, okay, and I'm an overexerciser, so they balance out. But at this particular time, I was getting on a flight to go to Reno to meet my buddies, and I got up and I had some cereal. And I went to the airport and had to wait for a flight, and so I went to a fast food place by the gate and bought myself some breakfast because I was bored. And when I'm bored, I don't mind eating. Got on the plane and they were serving breakfast. Somehow I was sitting in first class or something. I don't know.
Oh, must have been the money days.
And they gave me a pizza, a deep dish pizza, small person.
That sounds good.
So I had 3 meals, all right? I land in Reno. I get to the hotel, and my friend Marv was already there. He was at a conference, so that's why we're meeting there. And he walks up to me and said, I got to go back to conference, but they have an all-you-can-eat buffet here, you know. I'm like, well,
why not?
So I went to all-you-can-eat buffet, and I eat everything.
Just anything to feed that addiction.
I saw the lox, but I didn't see the bagels, so I skipped it, right? And I even had desserts, right? I'm stuffed. I'm on my way out the door, and I glance over, and there's the bagels I had missed.
And the Jewish dude's got to get the damn bagels.
So I got a bagel, made myself a bagel and lox sandwich, chowed down. Now
Lox, really?
I'm hurting. I mean, I'm hurting.
I'm sure you are hurting.
I went up to the room. I started crying.
Oh,
That
was good.
No, I'm not crying like I'm so happy.
No, crying because you're sad.
Oh, yeah.
That was good, though. You needed to cry because
No,
you're
no.
sad. You're trying to stuff everything down with the food, and thank God it's coming up. Maybe the food didn't, but the feelings did. Thank God.
I got down on my knees.
Oh.
I begged for help.
Yep.
Didn't work, by the way.
Oh.
I've heard so
Are you
many
sober
stories
today?
about people. Yeah, but that was 10 years before I got sober.
Maybe God wasn't listening then. Okay,
Right.
to answer your
He was
prayer
on
today.
vacay.
Okay.
He wasn't in Reno. Wait, so my other best friend arrives, my oldest friend in the world, and I pick up at the airport or something. Anyways, I'm saying to him, hey man, I'm in trouble. I'm overeating. I'm in something's wrong. And he's like, he's always been a Catholic guy. So we go to dinner. Oh no, we go.
You went to dinner again?
Oh no, hold on. My friend comes back from the conference. He's hungry. We go down and get some pho. Okay.
Okay.
Now the other guy arrives. It's dinner time. I'm like, so we have dinner. We go up to the room. We go to sleep.
Did you
the next
throw up?
morning. No. I've never been that kind of guy. We go out we go to all-you-can-eat breakfast, right, in the hotel. So I'm eating, and all of a sudden my friend looks over at me. He looks over at me and he says, I didn't get it. So why? He says, when you said you overeating, at dinner last night, you only ate half your sandwich. And I said, I ate the rest of it up in the room. When we got up to the room before midnight, I finished it up. He said, I didn't realize that. He said, but watching you eat breakfast, he said, I get it. You're really in trouble. And that was years before.
Just overeating, just slamming everything down to stuff those feelings down. But you had a hint of crying coming up. What happened to those little hints of feeling coming up?
All I can tell you is God didn't help me, so I wouldn't want to do that again.
He did help you. You're sober today.
Ha! You
Sometimes
people.
it's not in your own time.
So anyways, we're coming up on the bewitching hour. 7:00 soon. And Stacy and I got to get out of here and go to the chamber thing. I don't know if we shed any light or gave any permission for people to just be. In other words, if you're depressed, then, reach out. I can't tell you how much I've realized how much trouble I could be in if I didn't have a network.
Well,
I didn't have my mindfulness meditation
absolutely.
stuff.
Well, and I love because, most suicides are situational suicides. It's like if you just would wait another couple hours, your feelings about it would change. You'd feel differently about it. And I think that's super important. to realize that if you just wait, if you just reach out, if you just call somebody, it changes. I mean, it just changes. And we've had a couple people this year that we know who have committed suicide, and it's been all they had to do was wait a little while longer, and they wouldn't feel the way they felt at that time.
It's a permanent solution to a temporary problem.
Yes,
it's a good one.
Permanent solution to a temporary problem.
So,
God, talk about it. Reach out.
Yeah, I found, and AJ and I talked about this also earlier. In sharing your life experiences rather than bringing a doctor in to talk, we said, well, let's just talk about our own experience, because and I said, I'm gonna get specific. I'll bring up my daughters, I'll do the thing, because there may be somebody out there who got divorced, they got kids who hate them, and whatever. And so what'll happen is we give people permission to feel. When we share our feelings, when all of you share your feelings with other people, you never know it, but frequently you're giving somebody else permission to think better about themselves, because they realize they're not the only one thinking crazy thoughts. When I'm sitting and meditating, I've discovered that I'm a lunatic. I mean, I have some of the strangest. I have arguments with people I've never met about things I don't know what they are. I've sat around and thought I was petting dolphins in Iowa, okay?
In Iowa?
I have never been petting a dolphin in Iowa, and I doubt there's very many dolphins in Iowa. That's how nuts. But that's my mind. My mind manufactured that stuff. My mind can take me places I've never been in. And I'm thinking I'm having a recall, right? So, don't trust your mind. Your mind is not your friend. No. That's what the Buddha taught. Don't be, if you can't control your mind. And the very famous monk I like a lot, he says, do not meditate for serenity. Meditate for sanity. He said, if you don't meditate, then you've turned the keys to your car over to an insane person, right? I
love that. Yeah.
If you experience serenity in meditation, that's a byproduct of staying in the moment.
Right.
So you experience some peace. It's not because you were meditating.
And peace in here. I mean, like peace that wasn't peaceful before becomes peaceful. And it was a long process for me. But, I love what you said, because, even today, when I'm feeling down, I go into a 12-step meeting, or I talk to a friend, even not in the program, and I talk to them, and they say, oh, yeah, I thought that way too, and I did this, and I did this. Oh, my God, it makes you feel so much better to realize that other people think the exact same way you do. When you thought you were the only one in the world, I was always afraid to tell people about my drinking, drugging, and how I thought, because I thought they were going to put me in tarot permanently. I really did. And then when I walked into a 12-step program and people began talking, I thought, oh my God, they're just as crazy as I am. I'm home.
Well, we didn't set out to promote 12-step, but I will say this. If somebody out there has a drinking or drugging problem, I want to say there's a benefit to 12 steps that I didn't anticipate. But when I got there, I realized that, I used to go, like I said, every morning, 6:45 a.m., by the way, and I would sit and listen. And it was a rare day when I felt like I was the craziest person in the room.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah, I would walk in feeling like, the weight of the world's on my shoulders. I can't tell you more. And then I listen to Robert sitting over there in the corner. And when Robert gets finished talking 3-4 minutes, I'm like, well, thank God I'm not Robert. I know that's a bad attitude to have. Like, thank goodness I'm not him. But they got a saying, I felt bad I had no shoes till I met a man who had no feet.
Right.
And somebody said to me, well, you shouldn't feel like this. Yeah, you know what? I ain't perfect, man. So thank you. I see somebody worse off than me. And my friend Gary suffered. I mean, he worked so hard. He was born on the wrong side of the tracks. I was born on the right side of the tracks. We were tight we were thick as thieves. He struggled and struggled daily just to pay the rent and pay the heat. And I would call him up and say, Gary, sometimes when I just am so desperate, I just think about your life. And
oh my God!
I feel better. Because my life is not as hard.
That's the object.
Maybe.
I think we're supposed to look for the commonalities, not the differences.
Sorry, Gary, wherever you are.
Oh my gosh.
So you're up there with Jerry. The two of you are probably watching the show and having fun. All right.
Flipping you off.
So we got to go tell them how you find us, where you're at,
Okay.
the deal,
Okay.
the stuff.
Stuff.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're better at that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like
Okay.
Dallas Yoga Magazine.
Okay, yeah. So I
Kendall
published Dallas
Riccioni.
Yoga Magazine, and we have a festival coming up, Cosmic Yogi Festival, our spring festival, which is April 20th. And Ken will be doing a Buddhist meditation there. Very excited about that. And we also have what's the website?
Ken Goldberg's law-disorder.com.
And
YouTube channel that apparently doesn't work. Ken Goldberg's law and disorder.com.
You can see the cray coming out sometimes.
Oh, law-disorder.com is the website. Law-disorder, I think.
You'll find it. Ken Goldberg's Law and Disorder. And then on Facebook, like us on Ken Goldberg's Law and Disorder. And YouTube station is really, other than today, the best place to watch us. It's a better video.
Quality.
It's a better video. It's
But
a higher
I screwed up
quality.
because I set it up tonight.
Nobody
Nobody should need me to do the technical stuff.
But then you can't get his fingers off of it. So, you just got
Feel
to back
free
up.
to email me if you need a lawyer. I'm practicing law.
Oh, yeah. He's
So
an
another
attorney.
source of irritation and consternation.
Yeah, he needs
to
to
me.
let go sometimes
So
of
if you're
that.
part of that Richardson Democrat group that I'm a
Mhm.
member of, that I said, hey, tune in, I'm right down the street.
Oh, I'm flipping houses too. So if anybody has houses that really, really, really need a lot of work, let me know because I will buy it from you. So let me know. AJ@DallasYogaMagazine.com. What's your email, sir?
Relationships that don't kill you don't necessarily make you stronger.
That's
.com. I was, what did you ask me?
AJ@DallasYogaMagazine.com. I'll forward it to Ken.
Ken at law-disorder.com.
Oh, there you
My email
go.
address.
There you go. And we have a beautiful sign, but my dog sat on it and ate it. And so now I had to order a new one, and then the printer wasn't working today. The new puppy is also peeing on the bed, okay, on Joel's bed.
So here you can be 41 and make up that same bullshit excuse you made up in grade school.
Yeah, the dog ate my own word.
All right. Sorry for all the technical difficulties. And look, it says somebody made a comment, but I never
All right.
saw it.
And we are on every Tuesday at 6 p.m.
suck.
I shouldn't say every Tuesday. Most Tuesdays. He's been sick for a little bit. Then he was at his mom's. So we've sort of been here in the last couple of weeks. But we'll be back on track here Tuesdays at 6
Power to the
o'clock.
people.
All right. So we'll see you next week. Bye, y'all. I have to read what it says. You end this.